Alright, let's go to not Metropolis, because remember, this is another galaxy, in order to see how Clank is doing in the hands of a thief. You know, planet Endako. Again, this is just, you know, the legally distinct Metropolis, just for this new galaxy.
I know, this is before Ratchet Clank did its quote-unquote Pixar era, but that music so sounds Pixar.
The composer, as Blips noted, is basically the same from the first game, just with the additional support of a one that will compose for the Hitman games.
The more recent ones.
Yeah, specifically.
Yeah, I can hear that too.
Otherwise, again, this is just, you know, your average, more technologically filled planet. We need to take advantage of the drones that are fleeing around. Well, sometimes with lasers. Yeah, I don't think I have. Yeah, I don't think I have enough to actually buy a new weapon yet. Again, the thing is that
nothing that you're not already maxed out on anyway.
Well, those are the ammo for my basically. What the vendors do is that the more on the left are the weapons that you already have, in which case they then count the ammos that you have. If you're maxed out, they didn't tell you, but the one more on the right are the weapons that you still have to buy, basically. And the rule is that on each new planet you get to unlock one new weapon. Alright, let's do some more ADHD hacking. Yeah, again, I really particularly do not like this hacking because it requires to actually flip my attention to all over the screen all the time. Alright, this first part where we need to correctly find Clank is inside the complex. Afterward, we'll actually be outside. I guess it's the people that decided to just, you know, hack some of the, not even security drones, because these are clearly cleaner drones.
But they can still hurt you.
Well, because of the lasers. You know, considering, well, no, I don't think it did. Early years of the PS3 was kinda still obsessed with the 3D gimmick, so I do wonder even ports, like stuff like potentially this trilogy, might have had some level of, you know, extra feature to justify that. I know that the Sly trilogy did had the Bentley minigames that were put there just to justify the 3D, but I don't remember some of the aspects of the ports actually were incorporated.
No, me either.
In this case, you use a security camera to actually check and control, there you go, a crane drone. The idea is that you need to actually pick up a box and actually create a platform, but you can also be potentially creative and potentially squash the drones. It's just that since they're relatively agile, you probably are better off just, you know, getting down. But you can do it. I don't remember if there is even a trophy attached to that, but also, just to mention right now, compared to the first game, the platinum in this is technically more easy because it doesn't, if I recall correctly, it doesn't have the 1 million bolt bullshit. Even then, farming is much more easy in this game compared to the first, especially with the new game plus stuff.
I was actually able to platinum Rift Apart without even. I only had to briefly start a new game plus just to get one more weapon, and that was it. Because so Rift Apart is also very easy with its platinum.
Usually, when it comes to these not well classic games, yeah, but the second and first one, the trophies that will probably be the more pain in the ass are the one required to get skill points. Some of the games are more merciful and don't ask you to actually collect all of them, because they require you to do very specific things that in some cases are near pixel perfection, and you have to waste a lot of time on them. So at the very least, the trophies are not particularly bullshit on the matter. In fact, let me actually use this time, because we're about to actually hack another crane, so let me... Especially because, like I said, I recorded these a while ago, so I don't remember exactly what was my process. Basically, much like with a couple of other games, when it came to these, during my first run I just got the most trophies that I could, but when it came to recording these, I was like, why not? Let's, might as well also try to see if I can get the platinum, and with most of them I did. I think the one that I possess right now that I haven't platinum yet is Into the Nexus, and that's mostly because, it requires a bit more effort into it, and not in a sense difficulty, but time consuming. I still have copies that I need to start properly of All for One and Full Frontal Assault / Q-Force. So I'll have to see how the trophies are for that. Considering All for One is very bent on co-op, I'm afraid it might have some multiplayer exclusive trophies, so I'll have to see. It will be fun.
Always have been a bit split on the concept of multiplayer trophies. Not saying that they should never ever be a thing, but it does feel just a little BS when you're kind of copped out of a platinum because you don't have someone else to play that particular console with.
There you go, Platinum Vault. Also, perfect solution for that, Jova. Make the multiplayer trophies not a requirement for the platinum. The problem with that is that there is an entire logistic and basically point assignment that a company has to do in order to create a trophy achievement list. Both on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam, usually. And I don't mean internal trophies, because that depends on the game maker, obviously, But properly for a external platform. If I recall correctly, the developers are assigned a fixed amount of, distribution point that they have to properly, balance out. And depending on the type of achievements, or in the case of, Sony trophies like, gold, silver, and bronze, they have a limited amount because, of course, the limited tier consumes more points. The Xbox stuff, if I recall correctly, was a bit more clear because it was also assigned to the profile points that you would obtain with them. So you get also a better idea how much value each of them have. But again, the gist is that, if I understand it correctly, a developers does not have an unlimited amount that they can put, But I don't know the intricacies of that.
Clank?
There you go, there's
Okay,
Clank.
Don't move. I'm coming down.
Oh, god damn it.
Son of a quark.
Discount Raziel got us again.
Running again.
Very funny. Alright, time for more Aki. Yeah, in hindsight, knowing what is established in the future games about Clank, this really shouldn't happen when you get down to it, but hindsight's a bitch.
I pretty much have come down to the conclusion that the Ratchet and Clank series, much as we may love them, they're kind of a retcon nightmare when you really think about stuff, especially by the time we get to Rift Apart.
Like I said a couple of times, for these first couple of games, there clearly was relatively limited pre-planning,
Sorry, finish first.
But when it came instead to the future trilogy, TJ Fixman was like, yeah, I want to build things up as they are, So again, it's just an unfortunate matter of things. Go, Pedro.
I noticed during that cutscene, because of the widescreen ratio, you were able to see something you weren't supposed to with Ratchet's model completely frozen. Again, you can tell it's one of those things where the developers didn't bother taking that out of the cutscene because it's 4x3, nobody's gonna watch it.
All right.
So it's like watching Friends.
Well, I'll get that to you. First two, go ahead.
Alright, this is of course an introduction of the Clank sections. But the interesting part is that for this first section alone, you get to, since it's a tutorial one, you get to have one of these special bots, which one is a hammer, one extends as a bridge, and another one I think it has is tied to, screwing things up, like a screwdriver, I think. I forgot which specific one of them, but one of them is only used for this tutorial and never shows up at any other point in the game. And the developers did admit in a making of interview that they kind of forgot about implementing that kind of. I think it's this one, the one that's supposed to actually raise blocks. There you go. I'll need to check more properly, but it's kind of hilarious, when you. But to be fair, at least for me, I didn't particularly notice it until I finished the game. But yeah, it's one of those things like, oh, wow. Go on, Pedro.
No, the thing is, there's a lot of times when it comes to these older games, there will be assets that are left on, and the developers were just, oh, it's okay. Thanks to the 4:3 ratio, it's okay that we leave those assets right there, because nobody's going to see them, because the TV won't allow. They weren't, but then when it comes to these making these games that were clearly made with 4:3 TVs in mind, and then just removing those black bars, you get to see all those things that the developers never thought you would see. So
basically, Friends, because of the film they used, Friends was actually filmed in 16:9 the whole way through.
You did great.
But they crop it to 4:3, and they film it with that in mind.
Oh yeah, it's up. Well, I can tell you something about that as well. So a lot of times when it comes to making widescreen remasters of older games, it's a bit more difficult than just opening up the field of view. You also need to make some changes, and it's clear that Deck 9 was probably rushed when it comes to making these games, these remasters, because they needed more work in a lot of ways.
I wouldn't say these remasters are even overall faulty. They're just, they kind of run into a lot of issues.
We'll get to the best of the worst when it comes to Gladiator/Deadlocked.
Goody. Okay, it's just the thing I've noticed the most with PS2 to PS3 remasters, but what do you want to say first, Tio?
Well, just to mention that the Clank comes equipped automatically with both the Eddy pack and the Thruster pack, and you can switch, freely between the two. So, you don't have to actually find them again or, pay up more, So at the very least, there's a bit of continuity. Go on.
The ironic thing is that they actually could have given a story reason for why Clank lost his upgrades if they assumed that the mysterious cloaked Squidward figure had dissected them from him. But no, he's fine actually, which is quite interesting. This leads us to wonder if the hooded figure didn't really do anything with Clank. What was truly the purpose?
Also, a new weapon, which is basically a gigantic shotgun. Very useful for crowd control. Go on.
That sounds similar, Dwebs, to the older episodes of South Park, because from the very beginning, South Park was even back in 1997 when it first started, it was always made with 4:3, with 16:9 ratio in mind, but it was cropped for television. So later when they made the Blu-ray releases, they went back to the original masters and released the episodes as they were originally made. So now, and if you compare them to the 4:3 TV versions we've had up until that point, yes, you can see much more wider things that you would never be able to see from before. And so basically that was a case where the animators of South Park were actually thinking ahead when they made it, when they first started making that show.
I guess considering they had to work with still relatively limited animation, it did not cost them too much to actually use a different format.
No, it didn't.
Back to what I was saying earlier about the PS2 to PS3 remasters. Now, I want to be fair, part of it is probably due to the fact that the PS3 was kind of a nightmare to program for, but I've noticed that PS2 to PS3 remasters are the remasters that have the most common rate of having something wonky go up with them. From like something as simple to a few glitches to a whole bout of, oh my god, what the hell have you done to this?
Again,
2.3 Masters being clearly an exception.
Again, even the third-party stuff was not immune like the Kingdom Hearts, compilations.
Yeah. Again, my best guess is just the reason is because the PS2 and PS3, like, it wasn't just that the PS3 was difficult to program for, but the PS3 was, well, almost like a different species from the PS2 in terms of programming, apparently, which probably, I guess, made it harder to port. Again, I'm not going to act like I am the ultimate authority on porting. I know some video game programming. I don't know much about the intricacies of porting, so how hard it was may have varied.
Yeah, it varies because it depends on how the original code was. Because, like, for example, with, say, Rogue Galaxy, for example, there's a widescreen hack that fans made for it. But it requires it's a very elaborate code, it had a lot of work put into it. It's not just a simple, oh, let's remove the black bars and that's it, call it a day, right? But there's to this day there's still no fan-made 60 FPS patch for Rogue Galaxy because, as the hackers have been saying, it bricks the game. It's still used. They would have to basically they would basically have to rebuild the game from the ground up in order to even do it, basically.
Which leads me to figure that the PS3's backlash may have spooked Sony so much that they reverted to something more in line with the PS2, because the PS4 had a much smoother transition in regards to that stuff.
Well, that's because when it comes to porting PS3, games to the PS4, they still had a source code for all of that shit, so it's much easier.
Greetings, morons. Since my employees did such a lousy job of taking care of yous, I thought I'd come and handle things
we have been
myself.
foreshadowing this for a while, so first of the many boss fight against the leader of the Thugs for Less, in this case in a helicopter. Again, it's fair enough, and as you can see, it's not even that much of a sponge, so, even with the weapons that you have right now, you should be perfectly fine.
It's fine enough. Basically, exchange bullets with him and dodge from any fire that he provides.
No. Gone.
Okay. No, that's a thing, Jova. There's a distinct difference, though. The PS3 ports were actual ports, as in they took the code of the game and they ported to run natively on the PS3. The PS2 classics on PS4 and PS5 are emulations. That's completely different. Technically speaking, and from a coding standpoint, that's completely different. You're just putting an emulator and just running the game as it was, rather than trying to port it into a different system. So those are completely different things, coding-wise.
I wasn't talking about those. I was talking about like the ports actually run better on PS4, not like the emulations.
Huh, it's Jack and Dexter. I wonder what happened to them.
Hey, my old swing shot and grind boots.
Anyway, I think getting back to the apartment, made Ratchet obtain a couple of his gadgets from the first game, namely the slingshot and the screenshot, and the boots specifically designed to grind on rails.
I do dig that the game actually doesn't beat around the bush too much, letting you get back your goodies from the first one.
Well, mind you, it's still not all of that, some stuff is still lost over time, but there's even technically some sections, both with this and with the third game, where if you have a save file of either the first game and / or this, you will get, a bonus from that, and I'll be able to showcase it. Alright,
So,
time to get on Barlow, the planet where the biker gangs in your neighborhood are hanging.
and with that, the iconic duo are reunited and on the case.
Yeah, again, when the purpose of this game is again, Ratchet and Clank basically now are united in one. Also, there was a gadget from place here. and won't really be separated for the rest of the game. The initial section was just there to, try to give you, a specific moment without you being able to platform as much as you could in the first game. A bit of an extra challenge.
Mm-hmm.
If I recall correctly, the third game only has one major sections without with Ratchet having to deal without Clank, but again, it's relatively spoiler heavy, so you'll be able to see when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
Not much more to say about this planet. It's okay. It's not desert world lives. We will get one of those for your delight. But having the ruins of Gadgetron, facility means that there's a couple of mechanical stuff. Also, if you notice that there's another use for your swing shot, specifically to attract distant platforms. There you go.
Well done teabagging the platform there.
Well, you know me, I just tend to press the equivalent of, the crouching down while waiting, for a platform to arrive. Also, the standard moves for this level are demonic chihuahuas. I guess some things from Spyro do not change at all.
Eh? I forget, did Shigeru Miyamoto ever specify which types of dogs chased him as a kid that inspired the Chain Chomps?
Considering the voice type, the fact that they are, attached to, a chain and everything, again, even if he didn't specify, I guess the deliberate reference is supposed to be a classic type of hound that you even see in cartoons, similar to the character of, for example, Hector from Looney Tunes.
Or Spike from
Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry. Yeah. I forgot which race is that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do know what types of dogs are common to Japan, but who knows? Maybe it was a special breed still.
Or from a tourist, for all we know. Again, I guess he only, could say if he hasn't in an interview yet. Also, another thing that you
I
noticed,
imagine, though, if it was a Chihuahua...
fuck.
Sorry, go on.
Also, if you notice, another thing that return automatically with Clank are also the Hydro Booster, so you actually don't have to, wait too long while moving in the water, and the Oxygen Mask, so you don't have, again, the air meter for intents and purposes is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Gone.
I guess it makes sense. Go for more intricate water stuff rather than also throw in the constant danger of drowning.
Again, it's also the fact that, well, if you remember the Spyro games never had this problem to begin with. They just run with the idea that, well, Spyro is a dragon, he's magical, doesn't need to actually, hold his breath because shut up, And if anything, it's more of a case of, convenience, of, oh, you don't have to worry about that.
Also, did I just mishear? Did one of those chihuahuas do Crash's whoa sound effect?
I don't know. Alright, let's unfreeze this guy.
It works! My invention works! Huh? It's called the Therminator.
Thank you for releasing me.
It fires charged thermal pellets that can thaw an ice block or freeze a body of water. Gadgetron will pay me millions.
Hey, I don't know how long you've been frozen, but I don't think Gadgetron's operated in this galaxy for years. Everyone buys Megacorp products these days.
Hey,
Yeah, Gadgetron kind of ran out of business.
For this game, we will be back by the next game. Again, it's just for
Yeah,
the sake.
it is.
Again, maybe you can make an argument and say that, oh, it's still, that in itself is a commentary about the hyper-consumerism where companies, come and go all the time and sometimes return. But again, it's pretty much clear that they wanted to believe that, oh no, the Megacorp is the new thing. But by the time when it's saying, the thing Gadgetron maybe sounded more fancy for the player, let's, keep that instead. Also,
I chalk a lot of this just up to series growing pains. Like, they were testing to see what they could change, and I bet you at some point their gimmick was going to be, there's a new corporation each game, but then they just settled on, Gadgetron because, you know,
Yeah.
Gadgetron is pretty iconic.
The fourth game wisely, doesn't try to save it as a new company, and instead focuses on sensationalism on TV, with an entire network and a specific type of program about it, which, again, it's a good alternative and still good about the social commentary about, spending a lot, and people not caring. But again, you'll be able to see it.
The funny thing is, in hindsight, Ratchet may have screwed that guy out of a patent, since Gadgetron technically will be back.
Pretty much. And honestly, that gadget that I was just about to say, while inherently cool in its design, I don't think it ever comes back after this game. Again, the entire purpose is to, transform into ice bodies of water so you can actually skate across and make that as platforms, or thwarting ice so it becomes instead water that you can, swim under in order to reach other passages. But that's kinda it. I can kinda understand why it faded out, even if the idea is not too bad in concept. Also, new enemy types that will show up on another planet is raiders riding on the purple beast a la Golden Axe. They're a bit more tanky, especially compared to the Chihuahuas, but at this stage of the game they're still manageable. Later on they will be more of a pain. And again, thanks to the shotgun-like weapon, as you can see, the crowd control is perfectly fine. The only reason I'm not comparing it directly to other shooters' weapons, is because they, despite having the conceptual idea of a weapon archetype similar to other shooters, they still work with their own identity, so, it wouldn't be really fair to me to compare it to, say, the Doom 2 Super Shotgun, for example. Gone.
I'm kind of surprised. With all the weapon variety in Ratchet and Clank, we never got like a third-person battle royale mode or anything.
Well, the closest we got is the multiplayer mode for free, but I never tried it myself. From what I heard, people that actually played it actually had a good time. Same goes kind of for Deadlocked Gladiator, mostly because it was the advent of also stuff like Halo, and as a result, a lot of people, wanted the equivalent of that, and between that and Killzone, a lot of people were having a good time, actually.
Yeah, but yeah, like if there's one thing Insomniac can definitely, appraise themselves on, it's like their weapon variety. Like, I mean, we even saw them kind of try to do the first-person shooter, of course, with
Resistance.
Resistance. I'm like, that one actually did get the whole. That too, yeah. It's like, I'm surprised Ratchet and Clank, they never tried to have a multiplayer mode. Now, mind you, maybe that's a blessing in disguise, given how, knowing Sony, they may have had them make Ratchet and Clank only multiplayer stuff, but honestly, I do feel like the Ratchet and Clank series could lend itself to that. Like, you have a ton of different environments and cool maps that you could probably get battles in, and again, the weapon variety is pretty top-notch. It's just weird we never got that. I got a shotgun.
Yeah, you brought a sword to a gunfight. It's, kind of your fault.
Well, he was valiant. I suppose we can put that on his tombstone.
Stupid.
If I recall correctly, yeah, it's now.
Excuse me. I think I just blew another vacuum tube.
Should I have a look?
My word! You young people are so fresh these days. Oh, don't feel bad.
I think this character too is
I
with
guess I'm just
Vladimir.
old-fashioned about that sort of thing. Did you know that I've been with Gadgetron since the beginning?
So you sell these gadgets?
Darling, they sell themselves.
Alright, So there you go, if we have a save file, the will be detected, and we get a generous discount on some of these returning weapons. Otherwise, you will have to pay not even that much, as you can see, outside of a Rhino. God damn it. We need a million bolts for that, so that's New Game Plus material. You'll be able to see it at the very end. But it also gives me the occasion to actually showcase a couple of weapons that I didn't, showcase in the first game, like the Walloper. It's a punch. As you can see, it's not very effective.
I guess I gotta give him credit for having the foresight to make the Rhino still tough to get, since the Rhino is definitely
the justification also is that the justification again, yeah, the BFG. The justification also is that this is the Rhino 2. Basically, each game comes with their own new version of a Rhino, so new and improved. The one in A Crank in Time actually has the Tchaikovsky suite when you actually fire the trigger, so it was that too. It was actually also part in the promotional material. Alright, let's get to the reason why we're here.
Hey, who let you in here? Get lost before I flatten your robot into a hubcap.
Touch him, and it's Plasma City!
Oh gosh, you didn't have to yell. Why did he have to yell?
Yeah, Ratchet,
hey,
why are you
man,
so
I
insensitive?
can't hear you. La 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 la.
I mean,
He's just a biker gang.
Sir, it is okay. We are your fellow desert riders.
You're... So you understand my sensitivities?
Absolutely, sir.
Yes,
We just
that's
came here
exactly
to
why we
race.
yelled at you.
Well, you can borrow my Bluebell, so long as you're gentle. She just needs a few repairs.
Hang in there, my brother. Bluebell is in good hands.
Alright, let's electrolyze a bit more to fix the bike.
I dig it. Even though he's letting us borrow her, we still gotta hack her.
I mean, again, it's the all do something if you want it. Again, I'm more. It's also more of a favor if the fact that you don't have to actually pay to do this. So.
Yeah.
Alright, as mentioned, we don't have the hoverboard race, but instead hoverbike. These are marginally better, but arguably not much. It's basically clearly, something like, yeah, pod racing is cool, Star Wars pod racing on the N64 was the shit, so let's do that. The problem is that, ironically enough, my problem with this is that the bike is, the general pace of the race is a bit too fast. I know that there's a clear audience for this kind of, hyper fast type of racing, but it really is not my cup of tea.
Works for me, being a Sonic fan, but I do get why this won't be for everyone. For instance, you gotta know how to bend with the acceleration, which is pretty quick.
Also, this is one of those racing mini games where it translates to basically it's imperative that you get every single turbo upgrade because you need to mash that as much as you can, otherwise you won't get first place. It's one of those, use turbo, otherwise you lose in disguise.
I wonder if there's any YouTube videos now, people doing the challenge of doing this without turbo upgrades.
Oh, I'm sure some madman actually did it, and good for them.
But yeah, no, even though I like the hover bikes, I do get where you're coming from. Like the hoverboards, they're an acquired taste.
I don't even have a too much of a problem when it came to this certain minigame. It's just that it's a coin toss with Insomniac because, like I said, I had the same problem with the skateboard in Spyro 3.
But no trouble with the trolley.
Nope. Again, like I said, when it came to Spyro 2, the trolley, I'm kind of with Cadillo, that the trolley never really gave me problems, but instead it was the stupid crystal popcorn challenge, in Magma Cone. Truth be told, I did not even have too much of a problem with the Earthshapers, the Alchemist escort mission. Not to the point that I aced it the first time, no, that's unrealistic, but it did not require me too many attempts.
Fair enough.
Now, I don't remember because it's been a while since I actually, played them on my own and platinum very easily. I don't remember playing the Reunited trilogy, if I had a different problem with one of the specific missions was Barrow 2. I remember that recently I encountered a bug where in Zephyr, one of the cows that you had to wrangle did not spawn. Oops.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, we got a helmet and another holo message.
Attention all thugs for less employees. First of all, whatever slug brain's been eating all the choochie bars in the break room, better quit stuffing his face, or else... Hey, turn those lights off! It's bad feng shui.
How does turning the light on and off affect feng shui?
Has been moved to
It just does, okay?
The Felsen system. In sector
He's a
1, 2,
superstitious
3, 4,
criminal
5.
lot.
If you're no good with numbers, find a buddy to help you. Lastly, the company picnic is this Sunday. Don't forget to bring your own juice this time.
You're a biker gang and you have a company
I saw
picnic.
That, Cletus. You
Huh.
just
The
turned
Tux for
yourself
Less
around.
that's good
the Tux
for
for
the
Less are a very
workroom.
progressive
Don't
type
worry.
of, gang.
Boss
Don't
only
worry.
yells 'cause he loves us.
Yes, sir. I do.
Hugs and
feel
kisses,
the
Tyrant, real
Did you
king of the
see that
Heartlands.
Not really.
We should scope out that rendezvous point.
Yes.
Well, at the
we'd
very
like
least
to
we got
intercept
more
some stray
coordinates.
transmissions.
Also, I don't know if you noticed, because it has been happening for a while now, since the beginning of the game, you can tell when a cutscene is about to end, because the game slightly freezes for a microsecond before continuing. Not enough to desync completely the audio, but if you pay attention, it's noticeable.
I'm pretty sure that's a PS3 original thing, because granted, maybe it's my nostalgia for the PS2 versions, but I really don't recall them blatantly.
It's weird
doing
because
that.
the game doesn't really autosaves after the cutscene, only between planets, but when you actually move between planets. So I don't think it's that same issue that I run into stuff like, say, Prince of Persia Forgotten Sands HD.
Yeah. I can definitely say that it's probably for the better that we're gonna get the proper PS2 emulations by implicit conversions, much like we're getting with the Jack games and the Sly games, because these remasters haven't really aged that gracefully by today's standards.
Like, as far as PS3 masters go, they are, thankfully or sadly, depending on your perspective, some of the better PS2 to free PS3 remasters I've seen, but again, given the competition, thank goodness, I guess.
Alright, tune in for the next part where we go to that rendezvous point that I mentioned. See ya.
See ya.
Then.